my friend, it's Pat Sloan here on this Wednesday. So we have a couple things today. Oh, got a hair there. Hold on. What is that? I didn't even have short hair. How'd that happen? All right, so we have the chicken applique. So from the chickenless chicken salad, the actual chicken parts, I am going to show you how to use those templates. But I want to do some other things first. I've got a bunch of stuff here that I've been just sort of messing around with and picking up, and I just thought I'd show you what is going on because this is real life like we all do. And maybe you can relate, maybe you can relate. So first of all, I did switch over to the September for my calendar book. So I put some of those new stickers I got in here, so cute. Now, how did I do in August? I have been doing great documenting. Just great. I am so thrilled with myself to be all the way through August where pretty much I've written on the calendar what I'm doing, whether I've just done some cross stitch, whether I've sewn on other things. And yeah, so I do have to fill in a couple of days right here, but I am working along. So if you are keeping a journal also of just whether you sew every day, what you worked on, I would love to hear about it, or if you want to show it in the community Quilt Along with Pat Sloan over at Facebook, I would love to see it because I think that inspires everybody, you know, because people want to keep track. It's really nice to know that you can look at that month and say, you know, I really did work on my quilting a lot, because you have a lot of things that you do besides quilting. And I know that many of you have to sort of carve out little bits of time. Some of you have a lot of time. So it's the wide range here in our community of your availability to work on quilting and to have, you know, be satisfied with it. And so I think sometimes you might feel like, I didn't get to it. Whereas if you wrote it down, you can look at that and say, hey, I really did. I did really well. That was great. Okay, so I got that, which I was really proud of myself to do that. I want to show you the progress on the houses. Just show you a couple clips I did because I'm working on the 4 blocks. I'm only doing 4 of this, and this is a PDF pattern, so you can download the pattern. Where there are the panel, you could just use pretty fabric for those, or just make them all house blocks. So the link is in the description box below and on my website today for the pattern. So let's take a look at how I've laid it out and where I am. So I have the houses all cut 2 at a time. These are the pieced houses, and then I have another design board with the panel houses, the ones that have the panels. So what I'm doing is just sewing them 2 at a time across all the sections. So I've got, you know, there's the door, the windows, whoops, come on, the windows, and then I'm just sewing in through here, getting them just chain piecing right through. Then I'll do the window section, then I'll do the roof, and assemble them. So I have this pieced one in progress. The bottom sections are sewn. I'll just show you them. Look how wonderful they are. And then the window portion, so now I have to kind of do the roof. Over here is the chimneys, and this is the block. Then I have the 2 with the panel. So I have the 2 panels. I didn't do the sashing yet. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. Not the sashing that's on the pattern, I don't think, because this is for a multi-block and I'm only doing 4, and so I'm thinking I'll just make it wide and maybe nothing in the middle, unless maybe I do like a friendship star or something just right in the middle. And maybe I'll try to find some sort of border, maybe not, we'll see. But I want to get these 4 done so I can hang them up, and it's moving along. I'm happy with that progress because I need to move those along so I can cut some little pumpkins, because the little pumpkins we talked about yesterday. So that is part of what's down here on the table. Here is the little pumpkin stuff. Over here. This is and I didn't get much further than I did when I had it yesterday. So I need to address that, either cut some or put it in the container if I'm not going to cut it right now. So I have to figure that out. That's kind of in the way here at the moment because I haven't done anything with it. The other thing I'm working on are 2, not 1, but 2 cross stitch actively. I have them both out, both out on the table. So first, I'll just lay this here while I'm talking. First is the free one that came with our project for the Mystery Halloween. So, and I'm only doing just this moon. And I have discovered, my friends, I have discovered that I am not a full coverage cross stitch person. Once I get this one done, I am probably not going to work on too many that have like such heavy coverage. I really like the little images better with space in between them, because I feel like I can accomplish something when I do a little bit, and then I can move on to another little image or another little section. And so this is a struggle, and it should be done, but I'm just not enjoying it. It's just not that fun. So there's not much left. 1/4 of the moon. And while we have the moon here, on the 10th, it is Harvest Moon Day. So if you have moon quilts, or cross stitch, I guess, you can share them in our group, Quilt Along with Pat Sloan. We want to see your Harvest Moon, things with Harvest Moon on it. All right, the other cross stitch I started because Melissa, our ambassador, challenged those of us, that the ambassador group that has bought the book and want to do this epic Halloween by Teresa Kogert. And I started, and I've already had to rip out some, but I'm back on track. So this is where I'm at. So it's a little bit smaller cloth, and I'm doing a single thread, which I've never done a single thread. I'm not that excited about the black on this with a single thread, where it's doing like creating the whole image. The lines are great, but the image, the black seems wimpy. So I don't know. I don't think I can do double on here. I did a little test, and that was not, double was a little rough. This is like 18 count, but I've gotten started. And so who knows? I will probably be 85 years old when I finish this. And when I finish it, I will get it professionally framed when I'm 85, because it'll be excited to have it finally done. I don't do big things, but I thought, you know what? I have to have one. This is like a cross stitcher's thing. Have one big epic project. This is mine. And so I need to move these, though. I have to move all this so that I can talk about the applique, and I have to clear this off. Okay, to do one of the chickens for the chickenless chicken salad, or if you did Lori Holt's original, which had all applique chickens, she has a chicken for every block. And I'm going to show you how to use her templates for fusible applique by machine. Now that's not the method she demoed when she ran this Quilt Along a year and a half ago, whenever they ran it. And at her website you'll see her method, which is using interfacing and turning, and it's turned under edges instead of raw edges, which is what fusible applique is. But you can still use the templates for fusible, and I will show you how to think about it and do that, and we'll get right into it here. But first, let's just look at the templates. They came in a bag, and there's a lot of big shapes because these are all of the body shapes. So you have all these different parts for the bodies. They're all slightly different, like this. And I am going to do Beatrice, that picture I just showed you. And so I've already pulled the body, the wing, the little crown on its head, and the little gusset under its beak. And then the beak and the legs are all done with some bias strips. And what I did is I sorted these just to keep track, and so I didn't lose the littler parts. I put them in smaller plastic bags. And so since all the parts are already pulled, and let me just show you the fabric. I am going to use this gray. Remember this beautiful gray that I got a bunch of to use for backgrounds? This is Blossom, and I think that's really pretty. I'm going to use that. And then I am going to have this yellow chicken, and this is the same fabric that I did for the Halloween mystery. This is one of the pieces that was in there. The wings are going to be in this red. The little crown and the gusset under her chin that's not the same chicken on there. Let me just put the picture up again. So the crown and the little part under her chin will be this, and then the beak and the legs will be in the light yellow, which will show up nicely on this gray. Okie doke. So let me show you the fusible. I use Heat and Bond Light. This is a product I have used forever and ever. The paper does not separate from the glue. That's pretty rare. I mean, it can happen, but it's pretty rare. It has a very, very, very long shelf life. You can get it in packages like this. You can get it in, do I have it down here? Yeah, you can get it to run through your machine for printables, because most of the time you're printing a pattern like this. It's not these plastic templates. Most applique patterns are a sheet of paper, and you trace that. So you can run it through your machine if you want, and then you can use, or you can have like the 75-yard box like I have. And it's important to get the light, where it says light, and it is this darker purple. This on the bag, it's a bit faded, but there is a fairly light lavender. That's feather light. That's totally different. And then red is a no-sew. Red means no, stop, don't use the red. That's not for sewing. It's very, very thick glue. All right, so we are going to pull off a piece of this, which I've already done, and I'm going to show you the mechanics and how you want to think about your shapes, because you can take any kind of shape and take the components of it and make your fusible applique from it. But you do have to know a few things, because you're working backside of the fabric. So like this is going to be the chicken body. So I want the chicken facing the way it's facing on the pattern. Now sometimes that's not as critical, but other times it is. There are some times where you really need the pattern to be facing the correct direction. So how do you know what's going on? And I'm going to keep popping this picture up. What you have to do is get your parts facing the same way as the image. And so I have the chicken parts here. Here's the head of the chicken, here's the tail, head of the chicken, tail of the chicken, right? This little piece, little gusset or whatever you call it, is not directional. So it doesn't matter whether you have it flipped or not. And then the little crown actually is directional. Let me see, can you see that? Where can I put it that you can see it? These are very hard to see. There you go. So it has a taller, like no matter where you put it, this has like a taller part. So it's more like this. Do you see that? So here's the taller part and then the shorter part. And this is how it's looking on the chicken, And the wing is looking where you have this lower scoop down, right? And the more straight across is at the top, and that will be like the chicken. Whoops, you can't see that. Hold on. There would be the chicken wing like this. See, that's the image here. So what you do is you find the direction that it looks like, and then when you do the fusible, when we're going to trace it, you're going to flip them upside down. You're going to do it reverse, because otherwise they will be going the wrong direction. And so for this one, for the wing, this is just like the picture. It has the straight on the top, the big curve at the bottom. I need 2 of these. So I'm going to take him and flip him and then just trace onto my fusible. I have like 2 books on fusible applique, and so you might want to pick those up and get one, or they're pretty similar. One is now, they're both out of print. The company is closed for one of them, and the other one there is still, I believe, a PDF. If there is, I will link to PDF and to Amazon where you could buy it. Okay, so this is the 2 shapes going the correct way. This part doesn't matter, this little gusset thing, and so I will trace him, and he is the correct way. The crown, the little crown, has to be reversed. This is the way that it looks on the photo. I need to turn it upside down so that it's going the opposite way. Otherwise, it just won't look the same, which maybe you're okay with that. So now I have the body of the chicken. So I need to turn it upside down so I can trace it. And be sure when you're tracing it, there's no grain on this. It's just paper, and so you can just be as frugal as you like. Don't get too close. Don't do this. Don't get right close to that line, because you need space between, because you're going to cut out the center. So you need some space. Get a good finger's width at a minimum between the shapes. And then now you will go ahead and do this. And so don't, you have to look at each shape and compare it to the photo and see that you have it in, going the correct way, and then reverse it to trace. You always reverse it to trace. And now I will cut one of these out and show you. So here's the wing. I will cut through the line just a little bit, and then I will cut less than 1/4 of an inch. This fusible is only a little bit of it on the fabric, a little bit inside the inside shape, and then I will go ahead and fuse this. So there we go. It's like a basting rim. What I have is like a basting rim. The inside part, and see, it gets to be like a spaghetti noodle. So that's why you need to have some outside edge all the way around your line. You will be cutting on the line when we're done, but that inside edge is the fusible that will go on the fabric, and then it will be covered up by your stitching. And so this will go now on the back side of the wing fabric. And you have this, great window where you can see, and I will fuse it on here and bring it right back. So here it is, fused down. You just heat it for a couple of seconds, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm cutting on the line, and here's where you make your drawing smooth, cut all the way around. And then this will be, I'm going to make all the parts for the chicken, and then lay them out and fuse them all at once, rather than, you don't do one part at a time. I do the whole thing at once. And so there we get this chicken wing exactly how we like it. And this is how it will look then on the chicken. So it's perfect. See, we traced it this way, but there isn't any way. See, it would have been weird. It wouldn't have been proper. So now it is. And there'll be a second one, which is tucked down underneath. You can see, tucked underneath there. Okay, so let me do the rest of the parts and then fuse the whole chicken. So Lori does these with a bias maker, does strips for the feet and the beak, and I decided I'm just going to cut 1/4 inch strips. I'm going to do them fusible. So I just took some of the scraps here, and I will fuse these down, and then I would just cut in from the edge 1/4 inch strips, and then chop them into little units for the feet and the beak. So here's a chicken shape, and here is the template. Now if I had traced it like this, the chicken then would have been backwards. So I had to trace it on the paper this way. I had to flip it and trace on the paper. This is the extra, and that's the beauty of this cutaway method, which I describe in the books, and I just showed you a demo, is that now this is reusable. I haven't sewn it to my fabric. My fabric is nice and soft and drapable. It feels just like hand applique. The shapes will not have any kind of fusing on it, because that little basting rim will be right under your stitches. And so to take that paper off, I just do a little fold. I just fold it, press a little fold, and then it just pulls right off. It's super, super easy to do. There we go. Off it comes. And now let me just show you putting it together on the background. So I didn't pull all the papers off yet. So here's the chicken, and I've got the photo here. So here's her wing, and there'll be the little, was that a gusset, right? And her little crown. Put the crown behind. It looks like it's put behind. And then before we get too crazy, see, you've got to position everything. So you've got to get the other wing back there. And then there's a little gusset. And then there will be the chicken feet and her little beak. And I'll do it with this fabric. And Lori did little bias strips for all of this, instead of drawing it and using it, as a shape. And so once I get all of this done, I will pull the rest of the papers off, and just fuse this all together, and then you have to sew it. And I use a blanket stitch, but you could also use a straight stitch. Be super cute, but I will put the feet on and the beak before I would do that. So let me just, I will do all that so we close out seeing what Beatrice looks like. And here it is all fused down. Now what I ended up doing, like I just showed you, was make strips. I just made them 1/4 of an inch, which is what she's doing with the bias maker. They're just a single piece of fabric then, and they're fused down, and I will probably top stitch them for the feet and the beak. I just did 2 for the beak. I am linking you to the video where she makes the chicken, and I have it starting right at the feet part in the description box here below. So if you want to just go watch just how it's done with the bias maker, it is going to be a lot thicker, particularly all of that area where it's layered. So just know that if you want to have it sort of flat, especially if you're doing fusible applique like I am, you can just cut the 1/4 inch strip. I just fused it and cut a strip, just 1/4 inch, and then just chop the little pieces off until they look good. That's pretty much what she's telling you. She doesn't really have a measurement for them. You just sort of put the long foot and then tuck the 2 feet, the 2 toes, and then the back. Is that a toe? Is it a chicken toe in the back? I don't know. I'm not a chicken person. So there we go. A little bit of chicken fun, and our scavenger hunt for today, if you have not gotten ready for that. So we have a scavenger hunt. I do this once a month, and today I want to see quilts that have reused fabric. Maybe you have reused shirts in it, cut up used fabric.